Right now, across 11 American cities, a system has been built that most people going to the World Cup have no idea about. Officials are calling it temporary security for the biggest soccer tournament on Earth, but critics are concerned about the well-documented pattern of what happens to these systems after the event ends. In this video, I'll walk you through exactly what's been built, why privacy groups are concerned, and I'll also share an example of a past World Cup where officials said the same thing about temporary security and what actually happened afterwards. The 2026 World Cup is spread across multiple North American cities, and US officials are treating it like a major security operation. The tools being used go well beyond anything fans at a sporting event have seen before, and the funding behind it is also very significant. To understand why privacy groups are paying such close attention, you first need to understand what's been quietly happening across American cities for several years now. Law enforcement across the US has already been testing things like robotic surveillance systems and biometric data collection, things like face scans in public places, often with little public debate and minimal oversight. Most people never notice, but the World Cup changes things because it gives these tools a much bigger stage with a much larger budget and a very convenient justification. So first, let me share what's been created and then why it's so concerning. Facial recognition cameras are being used at stadium entry points for screening fans. They flag people on watch lists and in some venues allow your face to serve as a ticket or your wallet. Officials say that it makes entry faster and stadiums safer, but critics say that once your face becomes an access pass, it also becomes a tracking tool. Robotic dogs, meaning four-legged robotic units, are made by companies like Boston Dynamics, are also being deployed to patrol perimeter and inspect areas that officers might not want to engage in directly. Counter-drone systems are being utilized to watch the airspace around venues and respond if an unauthorized drone appears. I'll be the first to share that I'm not anti-security. For example, the anti-drone side of this does make sense. It's the world we live in, and it's honestly terrifying to think of drones being used maliciously at an event of this size. The use of robotic policing and collecting biometric data, however, is what I believe is a lot more concerning. The concern is also not just that these systems exist. It's that once they're bought and integrated into daily security operations at venues like this, they often become very difficult to remove and move us down a path further where everything we do is being watched and captured on a database somewhere. Privacy advocates also share the same concern. The ACLU-backed civil society advisory ahead of the tournament said that FIFA has been paying lip service to human rights and cozying up with Trump administration, putting millions of people at risk of being harmed and their basic rights violated. What privacy groups are also worried about is about how broad these systems can become. Robotic dogs can make surveillance feel normal in places where families and fans gather. And facial recognition doesn't just catch people who are already on watch lists. It turns every fan into a potential data point. Your face becomes a way to track you, log where you went, and link you to other events, even if you're innocent. That changes what it means to show up to a public event. If this continues, giving up your biometric data might become an additional cost every time you go watch your favorite sports teams or listen to your musical artist in person. I often hear people share that if you've done nothing wrong, there's nothing to worry about. But privacy groups argue that this line of thinking is especially risky because facial recognition can very often get it wrong. Mistakes can often have real consequences. One Wired report, for example, of the World Cup biometrics noted that if facial recognition is used in broad crowd scanning, it raises serious concerns given how often these systems make mistakes. With the amount of people attending, there's just too high of a risk of someone being incorrectly flagged, denied entry, or even being arrested due to facial recognition getting it wrong. Data collection is also a huge concern. It's often very hard to know how much data will be collected and how long data will be retained. This is critical information that is needed for someone to give actual consent to something like facial recognition and giving up their biometric data. One of the biggest concerns is also what happens to these systems once they're established in the local community. The 2022 Qatar World Cup is a clear example of how these systems are introduced for a one-time high-profile event and can later have lasting impacts on the local community. During the Qatar World Cup, organizers deployed more than 15,000 cameras equipped with facial recognition that monitored fans across stadiums and streets in Doha. The Aspire CTO said at the time, "We have eyes on the ground. We can view all of the 15,000 cameras across the 8 stadiums." And the event was presented by organizers as a model for the future of stadium surveillance rather than a one-off exception. These stadiums hosting these games are some of the largest and most frequently used venues in the country, and other stadiums are taking note. NFL stadiums, NBA arenas, college football fields, they're all watching watching what gets deployed at the World Cup, and several have already begun piloting versions of the same technology. So whether or not you're attending the World Cup, here's a few things you should realistically do when visiting your local stadium. Before you go, check your venue for a biometric data policy. Many now post them online under their privacy or terms of entry pages. If a venue offers face-based ticketing as an opt-in, read the fine print on what they retain, for how long, and if there's any alternatives. At the venue, be thoughtful about unnecessary wireless activity. Turn off Bluetooth when you don't need it. Also avoid unknown Wi-Fi networks near stadiums. This doesn't make you invisible, but it narrows down how much additional data you broadcast in a heavily monitored environment. After the event, the most effective thing you can do is civil pressure, especially if your city or state doesn't have biometric privacy laws. Your local representatives may not even know that these systems are being deployed in venues in their district. Asking the question publicly at a city council meeting, in a letter, or through a local news tip is one of the more direct ways to put limits on how long this data is kept and who can access it. The World Cup will be remembered for the matches, but it may also be remembered as the moment that a new surveillance system became normal in American public life. The primary question is not whether these tools can be used, it's who gets control of them, whether the data disappears when the tournament ends, and whether the public even notices before it becomes permanent. Please subscribe and consider sharing this video with a friend. Thank you.